So the idea behind this project is to make a lubricating system, so when I drill through stainless steel or hard materials I can lubricate the actual material that I'm cutting and the drill bit. So I've got some pieces here. First thing I've got is a windscreen washer bottle, which will serve as the oil tank. So this is going to get mounted somewhere high up, probably on this side, because the other side of the drill has the handle and the motor. So that'll probably mount on this side. Then I've also got a little pump and some pneumatic fittings. And the main part is the little solenoid injectors. These are just normal automotive injectors. So these will be mounted on either side of the cutting surface, so it can spray lubricant directly at the cutting area. So this is going to be the lubricant tank. I've got the pump which will attach to it via this this barb fitting on the bottom of the tank, which is moulded in, and the inlet of the pump is actually the right size to slip over it. However, I'm going to need to compress it somehow, but this is going to get mounted there so it can pump the lubricant forward through this pneumatic pipe and then distributed to either side valve. So now I'm going to cut some of this pipe so I can mock up the assembly. So I'm now preparing this pneumatic pipe. I've begun by cutting a 2-inch piece for each injector and slid it over the top of them, which is quite a tight fit, and I've already tested this, and it is a good enough joint to withstand the pressure, because you are a very tight fit. You see the bulging over the top of it. Although if I needed I could put an additional clamp over the top, but from my test it seems fine. So to actually mark and cut this pipe, of course it's black, so it's quite difficult to mark unless you wrap a piece of tape or something around it. But one of the best things to use is one of these metallic markers. This is a gold permanent pen. So for the next piece I need a 3-inch piece of pipe, so just lay it up the edge, give it a mark, and as you can see it's very clear with this pen. So I'd recommend getting one of these if you're going to be doing any marking work on multiple surfaces, because they're very good for just dark surfaces, shiny surfaces or anything. So to cut this pipe I'll just use a regular carpet knife. You just press into it and push forward at the same time until it gives, and then when it starts to give it just goes straight through it. There we go. Just goes to the edge of the table. Okay, that's the cut. I know there's specialised tools you can buy especially to cut this pipe, but you can manage with a sharp blade if you just keep running it back and forth. As soon as you pierce the outer wall it will just slip down it very easily and cut through the rest. So I'm just going to carry on preparing them and then we'll see how it looks on the machine. So this is the assembly that I've come up with. Just got my injectors, a 2-inch piece of pipe, elbow, 2-inch piece of pipe, and then this T. Of course the other side just mirrored. But this will sit around the column of the drill, so it can aim straight at the cutting surface. And I'm going to be 3D printing a bracket for this, so that I can angle it and also make it move up and down through the column. So that'll be like that. And then I'm going to have my tank sitting up here, and of course that'll join onto that at some point when it's rigidly attached. But that's how that'll be. So next we're going to be looking at 3D printing a bracket for it. So this will just slide over here, just like that, and of course it'll press on further, but that's the basic system. So for this system I'm also going to be triggering the pump, probably off a microcontroller or a 5x5 timer or something like that, just so we can have it pressurised to a certain extent, then stop. So when the solenoids are on, the pump's going to be turned on, but then it can shoot in bursts as opposed to just being constantly on. But that's the basic system. So now let's look at some CAD and also 3D print the bracket for it. This is my bracket for my automatic cooling system. As you can see, it's a simple part. We've got a centre hole for the drill column, and there's the 2 outer holes to support the pipes. I've also added some M3 screw cutouts, so I've got an M3 hole in the back and a hexagonal cutout in the front to hold the nuts. And I've chamfered the edges so that it helps the column go in and everything, and I've also angled these pipes downwards so they face more directly towards the drill bit or the cutting surface. So I'm going to go and 3D print this part, and then we'll try it on the drill press and continue with the testing. Here's the 3D printed piece. You see the column goes through the centre, and either side has the pneumatic fitting. I've also put a couple of screws in there, or holes where screws go through, and the nuts are retained in the back in case these tighten up on the column if I want it fixed. So I've got my chunks of pipe. That all just slots together like that, and it's all fully adjustable. You can rotate each fitting. So I've also sanded the inside a little bit just to make it fit the column perfectly. Yeah, so let's try it on the drill. Here's the drill press all ready to go. I've got my piece ready to be fitted. I've already loosened off the grub screws on top of the column so I can take the head off. Okay, so here's my piece. That just slips over there. Of course it's adjustable to whatever height I want. And then these are adjustable as well. Okay, put the head back on. That'll just fit on like that. And then that can be adjusted at whatever height needed. I just need to tighten up the grub screws on the side of the head. Just like that. I'm going to chuck a drill bit in, you can see it's adjustable to where it needs to go. So these elbows pivot so I can move it up and down, and I can also move the whole unit, so I move it to wherever I need it. Probably about there for this one. Then when the coolant sprays, it will spray at the cutting surface or higher up on the drill, and it will work its way down. So that's how that's going to work. Now I'm just doing some electrical testing on the pump. So I've rigged the pump up, and it's pumping through back into its own tank. I've just put some WD-40 in the actual tank just so it's got something to circulate. I've changed this pipe because the old stuff wasn't really tight enough. It went on the pump pretty tight, but it still had a bit of an air gap, so some oil leaked out. So I've changed that old 12mm stuff, which was this, to the 10mm, and then I'm just going to use an adapter to convert it before it gets to the solenoids. So this pump runs off 12 volts, so I've got my little power supply just powering it up, and you can see how this works. It's a very powerful pump just for its size. See how quickly the liquid actually rises if I hold it on for about half a second. And this is with a 10mm pipe. Of course the nozzle diameter of the injectors is a lot smaller, so it's going to be quite powerful. If I hold it on, it will just keep recirculating itself quite happily, and no leaks coming out the bottom. Only this area, and that's all pressed on now, really tight. It was really hard to press it on, but now it's watertight. If I just start my seat back down, but it's just a very powerful pump for its size, and they're not that expensive really either. I think this was like £2 or £3. So now I'm going to set up another test and we'll try out the injectors with it. I also want to show how powerful this pump is just by putting the hose end into a Tupperware tub, so you can see the flow rate. This is quite fast and it's empty. I didn't put too much WD-40 in because it took quite a lot of the container to fill it up. Okay, now I'm going to do the injector test. So here's the setup for the next test. I've got the pump and the bottle over there. We've got a pipe which feeds over to the injector. I've wired the injector through some crimps. It's all 12 volt system, so I'm just wired it all together so that the pump and the injector both come on at the same time. So it may take a few seconds to purge, but hopefully we'll achieve the right amount of pressure to squirt some fluid out. So I'm just going to zoom in and we'll see what it's got. Okay. There we go, you can see the fluid squirting out hopefully. I'm going to have to zoom in a bit more, I'll get a bit closer. I'm just going to rearrange the camera. Okay, so I've just moved the camera a bit closer. Now I can see the two streams coming out when I press the button in 3, 2, 1. There. That's working perfectly. Just the two thin streams, and the whole system's just pumping it through. No drop in pressure. Seems perfect. I'm really pleased with that. Okay, so since that worked so successfully, I'm going to try a dual nozzle setup. I've just reconnected the pipes, so now I've got both sides on. I've only got a little bit of coolant left in my tank. Of course, using two nozzles is going to drain a lot faster, so I might not be able to do it for as long, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so I've got both the nozzles connected. Hopefully this is good enough for you to see the stream from it. Okay, let's go. Firing in 3, 2, 1. There we go. It had to purge the air out at first because of course I've disconnected the pipe and reconnected it, so it has to let the air out to get a full pressurised system. That's working perfectly though. If you can see it, there's 4 distinctive streams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 from each nozzle. If I hold it on for a minute just to check the pressure, it's pretty good. You can see it dies down a tiny amount, but that's very minute. If you saw the stream just bent off a little bit towards the end, so that's working pretty well. Do a little burst. I think I did about a 2-second burst on this when I actually wire it up, so it's just like this. But then it does it however frequently I want, so I'm going to have some kind of adjustment. So after a period of time it will spray on for 2 seconds, then off for a period of time, then on for 2 seconds. So it'll just be little squirts. That's working very nicely. Seems like the pump's also at a good kind of speed for this. The pump's not chugging down, so it seems very good. Okay, so this is just an overview of my testing. It seems like all the tests went quite successfully. I'm very happy with how the setup performed. I was slightly worried that maybe the pump may not be able to power both injectors because there's a lot of flow rate there. But everything turned out pretty good, so next step is to get it fitted on the drum, see what happens. Okay, so I've now got the system installed. The only thing that's obviously not on properly is this the bottle containing the coolant. I've installed the 3D printer part and I've got the solenoids all installed. So yeah, that's it. It's all working. The only issue I ran into was the system was airlocked when I first tried to use it. When I was doing my bench testing, that wasn't a problem, it just worked straight off. But because the pipes are so short, the system's been airlocked, and obviously as the name suggests, it's a pneumatic effect inside the system where the oil can't make its way through the system because the air is stopping it from going through. So I had to pre-fill each of the pieces. I had to pre-fill this whole front section and then pre-fill the front of the pump and the back of the pump to actually get it to work. But now it's working properly, so I'm just going to make sure that the fluid doesn't run out. I really need to get some more fluid, but this is the only lubricant I had. I didn't have very much of it, so I used a lot of the can just filling it up, so I need to get some more. Anyway, I'll show you what I can do. So I've just got it toggled off a button at the moment. So that's just lubricating the drill. Of course that's just the top of the drill. Let me zoom the camera in a bit. Okay. That's just lubricating the top of the drill. And of course that whole system's manoeuvrable. I can move it up or down or whatnot. But also do the test with the drill on, as it looks like the oil will obviously spray around the whole room, but it doesn't, which is good. So it's the machine on, spraying the oil. It stays in the general work area, and I'm only going to be using this for when I drill the thicker material and tougher materials, like my injection molding machine plates, which are A2 stainless steel. So that's the system. So here's the final overview of this thing. I've got the two solenoids set up down there, and the pipes going backwards and then going up into the tank, which is quite low. But that's it, and I've got it all just linked through my power supply and through a push button at the moment. Eventually I'll make some kind of controller. But these are quite a nice accurate spray on them, so there it is. And that's the system. Thanks for watching.